Back in the early 2000s, Netflix basically killed piracy. For just $8.99 a month, you got everything. Movies, TV shows, Netflix originals, all in one place. No ads, no contracts, no hassle. You didn't need to download sketchy files full of malware. You just clicked play and it worked. It was the anti-cable dream, and consumers loved it so much that they abandoned piracy in droves. Global visits to piracy sites dropped to around 130 billion in 2020. Hollywood threw a party. They'd finally won the war against digital theft. Streaming was the solution. Fast forward to 2025, and well, piracy's back, baby. And it's bigger than ever. We're talking 216 billion visits to piracy sites in 2024. That's a 66% increase from 2020. More people are pirating now than at any point in the last decade. So, what happened? How did streaming go from piracy killer to piracy's best recruiter? Let's go through it, because the list of corporate screw-ups is long enough to fill a Netflix cancellation notice. Here's where things started to fall apart. Streaming promised you'd cut the cord, ditch that expensive cable bill, and get everything you wanted for under $10. Netflix was the hero of this story, offering a vast library for one low price. But then every media company in existence looked at Netflix's success and said, wait, why are we giving them our content? We want that money. So, Disney pulled all its movies and shows to create Disney+. Warner Bros. Launched HBO Max, which is now just called Max because apparently we can't have nice things. Paramount made Paramount Plus, NBC created Peacock, Apple jumped in with Apple TV+. Suddenly, the content got fractured across a dozen different platforms. If you wanted to watch The Office, you needed Peacock. Stranger Things? That's Netflix. The Mandalorian? Disney+. Your favorite shows weren't in one place anymore. They were scattered across what basically became islands, and you needed a separate subscription to visit each one. You went from paying for one service to needing 5, 6, even 7 subscriptions just to access the stuff you used to watch on Netflix alone. And then came the price hikes. By 2024 and 2025, streaming services started cranking up prices, like they were competing to see who could piss off customers faster. Netflix just raised prices again in January 2025. And this is important. This was their latest hike after doing it over 10 times before. The standard plan went from $15.49 to $17.99. The premium plan jumped from $23 to $25. Even the ad-supported tier got hit. It's up $1, now $8 instead of $7. You know, the plan where you're already watching ads. They're charging you more money to watch more ads. Absolutely insane. Disney Plus went from $16 to $19 monthly. If you wanted the bundle with Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max, all ad-free, you're now paying $32.99. And that's just 3 services. Add in Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Paramount Plus at $12, and maybe Apple TV Plus at $10, and congratulations. You're now paying well over $100 a month for streaming. You know what that is? That's a cable bill. You've literally recreated the exact thing streaming was supposed to destroy. And here's the really insulting part. Amazon Prime Video decided to start injecting ads into everyone's viewing experience unless you paid an extra $3 a month to remove them. You were already paying for Prime. They just unilaterally decided your subscription now comes with ads unless you pay more. That's not a service upgrade. That's extortion with a smile. Some of these price increases climbed 20% or more in a single year. That's not inflation. That's not rising costs. That's pure greed dressed up in a subscription model. But even if you were willing to stomach these insane prices, streaming platforms had another nasty surprise waiting: content deletion. See, when streaming first became popular, the pitch was simple. Your shows and movies would always be there, living in the cloud, ready whenever you wanted them. It's digital, right? It's permanent. Except it's not. Not even close. Starting in 2022 and 2023, Warner Bros. Discovery went on an absolute deletion rampage. They pulled Westworld, a critically acclaimed HBO series, gone. The Time Traveler's Wife, deleted. And why? Tax write-offs and royalty savings. They literally erased shows from existence to improve their balance sheet. Disney Plus wasn't any better. The Axed Willow, a show people actually liked. The Mighty Ducks Game Changers, gone. Paramount Plus deleted Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies. These weren't ancient shows gathering dust. These were recent originals with active fan bases. And here's the thing, when these shows got deleted, they didn't move to another platform. They didn't get released on DVD, they just ceased to exist legally. Fans who paid monthly subscriptions specifically to watch these shows suddenly had no legal way to access them. Streaming isn't ownership. It's not even a reliable rental system. It's a library that randomly burns books whenever the accounting department decides they need a tax break. And then there's the password sharing crackdown. Remember when Netflix tweeted, "Love is sharing a password," back when they were trying to build their user base? That was adorable. That tweet aged like milk, because once Netflix hit saturation, they realized they could squeeze more money by penalizing families and friends who shared accounts. Now, they're charging you extra if your parents use your account or if you dare to watch while traveling. The thing that made streaming feel communal and affordable, that's dead. They killed it for quarterly revenue growth. So, what did consumers do when streaming became expensive, fragmented, and unreliable? They went back to piracy. And I'm not talking about a small uptick or a marginal increase. This was a flood. Global piracy site visits exploded from 130 billion in 2020 to 216 billion in 2024. That's a 66% increase in just 4 years. To put that in perspective, piracy sites now get more combined traffic than Netflix and Disney Plus together. Let that sink in. The illegal option is more popular than the legal ones. And it's not just raw visits. Streaming content specifically makes up 80% of what people are pirating. TV shows account for 45% of all piracy site visits. Movies are 13%. Even manga is seeing explosive growth in piracy. In the United States alone, there are 26.6 billion unauthorized movie views and 126.7 billion unauthorized TV episode views every single year. That's billions with a B. The industry is hemorrhaging money, and it's entirely their own fault. Now, here's what makes this especially fascinating. Modern piracy isn't what it used to be. It's not some sketchy website covered in pop-up ads and viruses. Piracy sites in 2025 are polished, professional, and frankly better than most legal streaming platforms. They offer HD streaming, no ads, global content libraries with no region locking, and everything is in one place. Sound familiar? It's literally the original Netflix promise, except pirates kept that promise while Netflix abandoned it. Private communities on Telegram and Discord share links, coordinate releases, and bypass geo-restrictions. When streaming platforms delete content, pirates archive it and keep it available. When services fragment content across platforms, piracy unifies it. They're providing the service that streaming used to provide. Now you're probably wondering, how did we get here? The answer is financialization, and it's actually kind of terrifying. Private equity firms, companies like Blackstone, Silver Lake, and Apollo have systematically taken over Hollywood. They bought up studios, talent agencies, and production companies through leveraged buyouts. And here's the problem with private equity. They don't care about making great content. They don't care about building sustainable businesses. They care about short-term profits and extracting as much money as possible before moving on. These firms loaded studios with debt from the buyouts, then forced massive cost-cutting to service that debt. Writers and actors' wages dropped by up to 23%. Production budgets got slashed. Instead of investing in innovative storytelling, companies started hoarding intellectual property and pumping out endless sequels, reboots, and reality TV because it's cheaper and safer. The result is an industry that produces fewer masterpieces like Breaking Bad, and more generic content designed by algorithm and approved by spreadsheet. Quality dropped while subscription prices skyrocketed. It's a classic expand and squeeze model. You hook customers with low prices and great service to build dependence, then once they're locked in, you crank up prices and cut quality to maximize profit extraction. Uber did it with rides, Spotify did it with music, and now streaming is doing it with entertainment. And here's the scary part. Industry analysts are predicting this is going to get worse before it gets better. At least 2 major streaming services are expected to merge or completely collapse by 2027. When that happens, you know what comes next? More content disappearing, more shows vanishing into corporate limbo, more price increases to maintain service quality. The consolidation will make the remaining platforms even more powerful, which means even less reason to respect subscribers. For Gen Z, the generation that grew up entirely in the streaming era, piracy doesn't even carry the same moral stigma it used to. They've watched platforms delete shows they loved, raise prices constantly, and treat subscribers like walking ATMs. To them, piracy isn't theft. It's self-preservation. It's the only way to actually keep the content they care about. Why would you pay over $100 a month for platforms that delete your shows, raise prices arbitrarily, and fragment everything across a dozen apps? When corporations treat entertainment like a disposable product on a spreadsheet, consumers start treating their subscriptions the same way. So at the end of the day, streaming was supposed to be the future. Affordable, convenient, comprehensive. But instead of staying customer-focused, platforms got greedy. They fragmented, inflated prices, deleted content, and turned into the cable monster they promised to destroy. And piracy? Piracy just adapted. It learned. It became more convenient than the legal option again. And when piracy is easier, cheaper, and more reliable, you don't have a piracy problem anymore. You have a streaming problem. Can they fix it? Maybe. If platforms dramatically slash prices, stop treating content like disposable assets, unify their libraries, and actually respect their subscribers, they might win people back. But as long as private equity firms keep squeezing every drop of short-term profit and corporations prioritize quarterly profits over user trust, piracy's not going anywhere. It's not just back, it's thriving. What do you think? Is streaming still worth it, or have you already sailed the high seas? And if you made it this far without checking torrent sites, hit that subscribe button